It looks like we're live here. And before we start the show, we'll give everybody a chance to get signed in here. So if you're watching this later, excuse the beginning of this, I'd like to wait to get some people connected here. But anyways, I'm Ryan Stevens, and this is the fourth episode of the Hotlap at New Smyrna. And this is going to be our weekly recap show that we do here. Some of you guys may have seen the podcast that we did live on site at the racetrack on Saturday. And we're going to continue to do that as well. And want to give Adam a quick shout out for getting that all set up. He brought his own equipment and all that stuff out and got it set up so we could do the show live. And of course, we had Barbara Pierce come in as a live guest. So thank you to her for taking time out of her day to come do that. And again, that's the Pit Pass podcast. So we'll be doing that live at the track on Saturday. And then I'll be doing this show on Monday nights, this live recap show. And it's bare bones, and I wish eventually maybe I'll get the technology to get a better camera. Right now, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm doing this off my phone. That's the only camera I have. So, but I'm excited to get on here and talk racing with you guys once a week, and also excited to be part of that podcast with Adam as well. And we're going to try to get guests and make that grow. So we're going to keep that show with guests and talking racing and kind of previewing what's going to happen that night at the racetrack. And then this show will be me talking to you guys about racing. And if you guys get on live, start asking questions, I'll try to answer your questions as well. So I figure we'll go ahead and get right into things here with the recap from what was a wild Saturday night at New Smyrna. I don't care what anybody says. If you guys want to be negative, leave negative comments. New Smyrna this, New Smyrna that. That's fine. We appreciate the constructive criticism, but here's the thing that I'm going to say. The racing has been fantastic. Whether it's been 3 cars, 6 cars, 10 cars, 16, 20 cars. The racing has been really, really good. So all you competitors that come out, I appreciate it, and we appreciate it at the racetrack as well. Even if you guys don't think so, you're our customers. You are appreciated. And I enjoy watching you all race, and each one of you that comes through the gate, you put on a hell of a show. So thank you for what you do out there on the racetrack. Saturday was wild. I think some of you know there was some craziness that went on after one of the races, and I can't seem to remember what it was. Something with somebody yelling at somebody. I'll have to think about that and talk about that if I can remember what went on. There's so much going on. I'm sure you guys want to hear about the craziness, but we'll get to it later. So I'm going to start off with the Super Stock 50. If you guys listen to me at the racetrack, always talking about the Super Stocks, love that division. First race I saw at New Smyrna was a Super Stock race that had me hooked right there. And the Super Stocks have been fantastic. There's been some bumping and banging and some rough races, and this race had some of that as well. But it was a fun race. It really was. We had 12 cars. So not terrible. We've had some guys that have had some trouble throughout the year. Could have had upwards of 15, I think, but some guys still putting their cars back together. But man, this race was really fun. It had a little bit of everything. It started off pretty clean, and after qualifying, Preston Hunt set fast time. It's good to see him back out there. Took about a year off and got a win last time he was out. He set fast time and had to start 10th on the invert. And I was really expecting him to fly up through the field. And early on in the race, he struggled and wasn't really able to make up any ground. And eventually he pulled off and had mechanical problems and wasn't even able to finish the race. Actually finished in last place. So one of the contenders was out right there. And that was really the story of the night, you guys. The races, it seemed like all the strong cars, the ones that you would expect to contend every week, were having trouble. So it was really a night of attrition, and that really opened things up. And we saw some different people up front, which I hate it when people have trouble, but it made it kind of interesting. In the Superstock race, when Preston went out, that was one of our biggest contenders. And then you're thinking, okay, here comes the 16 David Gould, here comes the 2X Mike Amato. They're coming up towards the front. Bobby Hawley got himself up in front, and you could see those guys charging behind him. And then we had a caution. Kate Clouser had spun out, and that set up a restart. And this was getting late in the race, and this was really the turning point. This is where things just went haywire with this race. David Gould and Mike Amato were battling for position down the back straightaway. When it happened live, it happened so fast. I looked up in turn 3, I saw sparks, and I saw the 16 go up the wall and just take Mike Amato with him. So Gould and Amato go hard into the wall in 3 and 4. And it was a pretty nasty looking crash. And when it happened live, I honestly thought it was a left rear tire, a left rear that went down on the 16. Because I just saw the sparks, 16 up the track, took the 2, they knocked the wall down, they were done for the day. Again, after Preston Hunt goes out, we have 2 more of the best cars taken out. So I finally saw a video. I saw some in-car video, and I saw our videographer's video of the incident. And it appears that the 2 made contact. Amato and Gould made contact down the back straightaway, which cut the right rear tire of David Gould's car down, and that's why both cars went into the wall. And David Gould was not happy with what happened, understandably. I don't think it was on purpose. I think it was hard racing. We saw that earlier in the night. But again, these guys put so much into their race cars, they hate it. When they get wrecked, I hate it for them, but that was the big turning point. So the 6 is out, the 16 is out, and the 2X is out. And that opens the door for somebody to get their first win of the year. And Bobby Hawley had been leading, and it looked like he was finally going to get it done, like run away with it. But then Travis Sukup, man, is this kid getting better. He comes out of nowhere, and he's all over Bobby Hawley's back bumper for about the last 4 or 5 laps. Closed in, got right to the back bumper, and he tried to get him on the outside. He tried to go up there, get a run, and get around Bobby. And the interesting thing is, I alluded to this during the race, those guys were parked right next to each other. So you could see the 45, he was right there, he was fast, but it looked like he didn't want to put the bumper to him. And he ultimately did not. He had a chance going into 3 on the final lap, and he did not hit him. He raced him hard, but he didn't hit him, came home second. And honestly, I think Travis earned a lot of respect. Bobby gave him a lot of props in his interview with Wes after the race. And I think Travis earned a lot of respect. Because if he would have spun him out, he could have spun him out, and he could have taken his first win. But by not doing that, he gained a lot of respect, and the experience he's gaining, and it shows. Travis is getting better and better. So big congratulations to Bobby Hawley. It's been a rough season for him, so he gets his first win and gets the monkey off his back, if you will. Travis Sukup, a great run in second. Another impressive run out of the 38 car, Charles King Jr. He raced our other 50-lap Superstock race earlier in the season, came home second, and again, another great run as he's also learning and getting better and better. So good to see the youngsters up there duking it out with the veterans like Bobby Hawley. Don Duvall came home fourth. He had a heated battle with Dale Howard. I honestly thought we were going to have a caution late in the race because he and Dale Howard were going at it. And he'll talk to Don, and he wasn't happy with the way Dale raced him. Talked to Dale. Dale said, hey, I was racing hard. And that's the thing about racing. There's always 2 sides to the story. And we'll get into that in a little bit. There's some other race that happened where there's some controversy. All right, we'll go talk about the modifieds. So we had another pretty decent field of modifieds. However, a couple guys were unable to start. James Ellis and Mike Dahm were unable to start, so it kind of thinned out the field just a little bit. After the heat race, I didn't really know what to think because Jerry Simons didn't come out for the heat, and I thought, he's the point leader. He's got a big point lead. He's not going to risk it here in this heat race. But apparently Jerry had more trouble because when he came out, he was able to start the main event, and he looked fast as always, and then he had some mechanical problems and pulled off. So again, that really opened up the door for somebody to get their first win because only Simons and Ricky Moxley had won in the modified division so far this year. And it was very interesting to see Jason Boyd out there in Kevin Terry's number 13. Jason works on a lot of the cars in the pits. I know he helps out Preston Hunt, Cheyenne Mathers, a bunch of other cars as well. Jason can probably get on here and comment on those. But it was fun to see Jason out there because Jason is a heck of a racer. And he was able to get out in front, and he stormed out and won the race. Only he and Alan Bruns finished on the lead lap, so that just shows you the dominance of those 2 guys. And I was real disappointed to see Jerry go out because I thought he and Jason were going to put on one heck of a race. But hey, when others have problems, you got to capitalize, and that's what Jason did. And I really got to thank him for his interview. He made my job easy. He got out, and he made a point to thank the fans. Sometimes that gets overlooked. A lot of you guys do a great job recognizing the fans, but Jason made it all about the fans, and he was happy to get the win. And normally he doesn't get to race because he's working on the other cars, but to get out there and thank the fans and really hammer that home. We really do appreciate what you do, Jason, and so thank you for that, and thank you to all you fans who came out. So Jason Boyd ended up winning the modified race. Bruns was second. Arndt Koonsman came home in third. Norman Dismike came home fourth in his first start of the year, and Matt Thornton rounded out the top 5. Now we also had 2 bomber features, and I believe we had 8 cars show up to start, and man, the night of attrition, it really hurt the bombers. The first race, it was pretty good. We had 3 or 4 guys that looked like they had a shot to win. After the heat race, Jared Zabel was able to win that, and I thought he had a good shot to win both these races. However, in the first bomber race, Dan Webb was able to hold off and get his second win of the season ahead of Jared Zabel. Dan Webb's teammate John McCormick came home third, with his son Mike McCormick fourth, and John Delancey rounding out the top 5 in race number 1. And then in bomber feature number 2, we made him sit around a while and come back out and do another feature. I really thought Dan had a good shot to sweep the night, and then he had battery problems. So again, another top contender having issues. And again, just adding to that, the fast cars just really struggled with the mechanical issues. I guess Dan was having battery problems, and he wasn't able to contend. And then it looked like, all right, this is going to be Jared Zabel's race to win. And then he had mechanical troubles, was able to hang on and finish third in the race because half the field not even able to start the second feature with all the mechanical stuff going on. But at the end of bomber feature number 2, John McCormick took home his first win of the year, so it was nice to see a fresh face in victory lane. And to make it even sweeter, son Mike McCormick came home in second. Jared Zabel, easy for me to say, he came home third. Dan Webb was fourth, and John Delancey, the only other car to start the race, unfortunately disqualified when he went over the scales. But the bombers, again, we had 8 of them. I would have liked to seen 10 to 12 maybe for the double features, but 8 showed up, and a lot of them had mechanical problems. Michael Scannell, a winner earlier this year, also had problems. So that was just the kind of the story of the night. Now there was 2 more races that went on, and I know you guys, you're probably waiting for me to talk about the Sportsman, the American Auto Sportsman. As always, good car count. We had 16 start the 50 lapper. And for the most part, very, very clean race. And it was fun to watch. Earl Beckner and Patrick Thomas, they put on one heck of a show. Now, after qualifying, Sean Bass set fast time. They had an invert of 6. And I made a bet with Wes, who was up there helping me in the booth. And he thought Sean was going to be in the lead by lap 6. Well, Sean was still in 6th by lap 6, maybe up to 5th. At one point, he had gotten up to 5th. Caution came out, put him back to 6th because he didn't complete the pass before the caution came out. But he really wasn't moving up through the field as fast as we may have expected. And kind of had me wondering, because last time he came out, he was leading the race, looked like he was going to win it during the Clyde Hart Memorial, and he had mechanical problems. And that cost him the win, and he wasn't even able to finish. And this time, Sean didn't look to be as fast in race trim, and then he had fuel pump issues. So again, fast car, competitive car, out with mechanical problems. It really, I mean, that was the story of this night, was the mechanical problems really hurting some of the top stars in each of their divisions. I mean, that even happened in the ground pounders during practice. Fred Robinson had problems in practice. So really, story of the night, if there were a title to the night, it'd be Mechanical Gremlins for sure. But back to the Sportsman race. It was really fun watching Earl Beckner and Patrick Thomas battle out for the lead. They were side by side, 13, 15 laps, something like that. It seemed like anytime Patrick would get a run, though, there would be a lap car on the bottom, and lap cars were told to stay on the bottom during the driver's meeting. And so they were holding their line. And Earl Beckner was holding his line as well. And anytime Patrick came up to a lap car, he would back off and have to fall back in. And it was getting later and later in the race. And he had another run on Earl, got to the inside, had to back off. And I honestly thought that might be the race right there, because the laps are winding down. Every time Patrick gets a run, Beckner's holding him off. And Beckner seemed to have a little bit faster car down the straightaways, and Patrick would get him in the corners. And it was kind of this cat and mouse, back and forth, really thrilling race that as the laps start to wind down, you know that aggression is going to pick up, because both those guys are here to win. We see them every week battling in the top 4, in the top 5 for the race win. So you knew something might happen here, and those two guys have a history. A couple of years ago in a 50-lap race, ironically, they got together while racing for the lead, and wouldn't you know it, with about 3 laps to go, Patrick Thomas gets another run to the inside, and of course, lap car on the bottom of the racetrack in turn 3. Patrick's going to say, I was inside. I had position, so I held my line. There's 3 laps to go. I'm racing for the lead. The 2 made contact in 3. Beckner got out of shape, didn't wreck his car, but fell back to 4th. Patrick took the lead and ultimately won. So Patrick's side is, I had position. I had a bumper out in front of you, and we touched while racing for the lead with 3 to go because we're here to race for the win. Well, Earl Beckner, not happy with what happened. Of course, he sees things differently and says, well, you wrecked me. I gave you 40 laps, whatever, to come and pass me, and you hit me. And Patrick will say, yeah, well, I hit you, but we're racing for the win. I didn't wreck you. So that's what's thrilling about racing. From the grandstand side, wow, what a move. I mean, that had me and Wes up in the booth about falling out of the booth because we thought, oh boy, Wreck City, here we go. Earl did a great job saving his car. It was a wild moment, and you get 2 sides of the story. One from the guy who's happy because he won the race. One from the other guy who didn't win the race who feels he was wronged. And then they got to talking about it in victory lane. So Patrick Thomas wins the race. The move was wild. You can watch it online if you weren't at the track. And you know what? Leave your comment below and tell me what you think. Who was right? Who was wrong? Was Thomas in position? Was Beckner in position? Should Thomas have lifted? Should Beckner have lifted? What do you think when they're racing for the lead with 3 to go? Let me know either here now or leave a comment below when you see it. Keep it clean though, because I will delete it. We don't need to be trashing people. But let's see what you guys think. There's 2 sides to everything, and we'll see what you guys think, because it was definitely a wild moment. I thought Wes was going to fall out of the window when it happened, and I mean, edge of your seat racing, and that's what we like to see out of the American Auto Sportsman. However, of course, there was more to it, as many of you guys have already seen. When we got down to victory lane, Earl came over to congratulate Patrick, if you will, and yeah, Mike, you know, I see your comment there. That's how I view it. It was a racing deal. When you're going for the lead with 3 to go, they were side by side into the corner with a lap car. Sometimes that's racing. So that's my view of it. So I'm glad you can agree there. But the victory lane stuff kind of got out of hand. You know, it's one thing if you want to talk about it after the race, but you know, to come over and it looked like at first it was a handshake. Hey, you know, don't like it. It looked like it was a handshake, and then words were exchanged, and then a lot of shouting, spotters getting involved, and it kind of made for a wild scene down there. And I kind of feel bad for my buddy Wes, who was really wanting to go down there and do the interview, and unfortunately had to get thrown to the wolves there. Things were kind of going crazy, and a lot of words were being exchanged, and you know, we had kids down there, and you know, that kind of stuff. And it might look exciting up in the grandstands, but it was kind of a bit much, unfortunately. That's my side of it. I was right down there in the middle of it. You know, it's one thing if you want to talk about it, and hey, we'll give you the time to talk about it. But it's better to not be getting spotters involved and having people cursing and yelling. That's just my 2 cents. Eventually, you know, trying to keep the show going, I had to kind of get in there and back some people off and try to get through the interviews and let everybody get their time in. But man, it was wild to say the least. So if you were entertained by that, great. If you weren't, we're sorry. That's how it goes. Hopefully next time that kind of stuff can happen after everything is said and done. You know, the victory lane is one thing, but wrecking race cars after the race, definitely frown upon that. I know the track does as well. So I know as of right now things are still up in the air as far as what they're going to do. I haven't heard any updates, but I'm going to leave that up to race officials. I have no say in that kind of stuff, but you guys really don't need to be tearing up race cars after the checkered flags. Not cool, not safe for anyone. And hopefully all that kind of stuff is done, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I'll let you guys comment below if you have any opinions on that. I enjoy good hard racing. I enjoy sportsmanship. I mean, look at Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. Of course, Kyle Busch won the race, and Kyle Larson says, hey, I hit you, you hit me, it's over. You know, that's good hard racing. I don't know what would have happened if the shoe was on the other foot. You just never know. But anyways, good racing. I had a blast watching it. It was good until the checkered flag. So we had one more race during the night. It was the ground pounders. And I gotta say, I was impressed by the ground pounders. They had 3 people, Jody Modine, Danny Shear, and Chris Hatton, really put on a show. These cars are old. They're vintage race cars. I think maybe heat races for those guys, might want to look into not doing those, because I feel like we lose too many of them. A lot of them break during the heat races, and I hate that. The heat races are fun. It adds to the program, but I hate losing cars during the heat races, especially the vintage cars, because, again, they're old cars, and a lot of them are hard to find parts for, and I hate seeing guys not be able to race. Now, we had a couple break in practice. Guys got to be able to have their practice, so I'm not saying take away practice, but maybe for the ground pounders, we'll just run the features in the future. It might be something to I talk to the office about. Just an idea, because I'd rather see more of those guys start the main event than go home during the heat. But thank you, Melody. I appreciate that. I like doing this podcast. I like interacting with you guys and seeing your comments come in. So, and I appreciate the kind words. But back to the ground pounder feature. It was a good race between Modine, Shear, and Hatton. Those 3 guys, it got intense, and there were some close calls, and I was wondering at one point if they were going to get into some trouble. Really fun watching Danny Shear, who's our chaplain, sometimes comes up and does the invocation. Good to see him out there on the racetrack putting on a show. I thought he was going to get Jody Modine, who was out there in that beautiful number 45. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate the kind words there. But Jody Modine, Danny Shear, and Chris Hatton battled hard. Then we had a caution came out, and they had a restart, some more close calls on the restart, but at the end, Jody Modine was able to hold off Danny Shear and Chris Hatton. Scott Phobes came home 4th. Kurt Hatton ended up 5th, and then winner of his class. So congratulations to Kurt for winning his class and Jody Modine for winning the overall race. See, so you guys do like the ground pounders. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate that. They are definitely fun to look at, and they put on a pretty good race. Excuse my dogs barking in the background there. I don't know what they're going on about, but thank you, Summer. Appreciate that. So John Matthews says, look like 2 guys that wanted to win really bad. What else can you ask for? Well, hey, that's certainly what we got during the sportsman race. And I know there's been a lot of comments. You can search through our Facebook, and a lot of people had some comments about what went down. If you didn't see it, the highlight reel has been put out by our videographer, Tom, so you can go back on there and see it for yourself. There's in-car video online from Travis Sukup that shows the wild Superstock wreck. So if you missed anything, it's out there. That's what's so nice about the internet these days. You don't really miss much. Hey, Brian, you bring up the Bombers. The Bombers were really good. We started off with 8 of them, and they had a pretty good race, and it was real fun to watch Jared Zabel and Dan Webb go out in the heat race. They really set up for what was going to be a big night for those 2, and then, unfortunately, in the second feature, they had trouble. But again, that's what this podcast should be titled today, is Mechanical Gremlins, because that's really what bit a lot of people, and it was hard. It's tough to see that, especially the competitive guys who, like I said, I'd love to have seen Simons and Boyd go at it. Hopefully Jason Boyd will bring the modified back out and go at it with Simons, and we can see it again. But Bombers are always fun. I love seeing what's left of stock car racing, because that's about the last of the stock cars that we see is in the Bombers. So I always love those guys. Hopefully we can get some more of them out there. Hopefully we can get some Strictly stocks. I'm dying to see a dang pickup truck race in the Strictly stocks. So hopefully we'll get that division up off the ground one of these days. Speaking of racing, next week we'll be back at it. We have another big card coming your way. The super late models will be back, along with the American Auto Sportsman, so that should be interesting. The Sportsman guys, you have your town hall meeting at the racetrack from 2 to 3. Gates open at 3 on Saturday. So Sportsman town hall meeting from 2 to 3 in the bar behind the main grandstands. So for you guys who are walking around saying, oh, we're not coming back, hey, come back. Let us know why. If you don't want to come back, that's your prerogative. I know Patrick Thomas is going to be back to win more races. So we're going to have the super late models with the American Auto Sportsman. We're going to have the modifieds back, mod minis, and bombers running as well. So another full card of racing. Sportsman guys, come see us at 2 o'clock for your town hall meeting. Let us know your comments, concerns. If you don't like the way people are racing you, if you don't like the rules, come voice your concerns. I know our manager, Rusty Marcus, has been taking everybody's thoughts seriously, and he's working on things for 2019. We're not giving up on 2018. I can tell you that right now. We want to build it up, and we want to make 2019 better and better than this year. So we're gonna keep at it. I'm gonna keep trying hard. I know that. I'm gonna be as positive as I can. I'm gonna walk around the pits. If I can do anything for you racers, if I can do anything for your fans, let me know. I can't change the world. I wish I could. I wish I could make everybody happy. But if I can do anything for you, I will. I appreciate talking with all you guys. It's been wonderful getting to know you drivers and fans throughout the past few years. So again, if you see me walking around the pits, I'm always making my notes and whatnot. Feel free to grab me. I'm trying not to bug you guys when you're working on your cars too much, but you can always come up to me. Let me know your thoughts. If you have any concerns, I'll bring them back and let management know. And you know, if things aren't perfect, you know, I appreciate you guys giving me your criticism. And hey, if you don't like what I'm doing, let me know, because I can get better too. And but again, I'm having fun doing what I do. I love being around the racetrack, and I wouldn't give it up for anything. So I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off now. Appreciate you, Patrick. Appreciate you being there every week racing with us. It's always fun to watch. But again, all right, we're going to go ahead and sign off. We'll be back Saturday for the second edition of the Pit Pass podcast with Adam, and I'm sure we'll have a special guest as well. So if you like this show, that show's got a little bit better production value, and we're going to talk racing and do some more fun things. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Appreciate all you fans and racers that came out with us last Saturday. Hope to see you all again this Saturday. And my name is Ryan Stevens, and I've enjoyed talking racing with you all. See you guys next week. Have a good night.